There was a time when nothing excited me anymore. This was not sadness, it was not depression. I just felt flat. Things that used to light me up stopped working. Conversations felt empty, and I couldn't find pleasure in anything. What confused me the most was that nothing was wrong in my life. I wasn't experiencing burnout. I wasn't going through failure. This was something deeper and much more subtle. And then later, when I discovered Carl Jung had written about this exact state that I was going through, I realized that this feeling wasn't a problem to fix. Hi, everyone. My name is Esther Bartkiw. I help people remember who they truly are beneath the layers, the stories, and the noise of this lifetime and beyond, so that the real you can emerge excited to live life. If you appreciate personal and spiritual growth content, please give this video a like. Okay, guys, for a lot of people, this is one of the most unsettling phases of life that they go through, when life is just not fun anymore, because it doesn't come with a clear explanation. You're functioning, you're showing up, and life on paper looks pretty fine, and yet the joy that you remember is not there anymore. Now, not everyone who experiences this is depressed, and not everybody's burned out, and not everyone is meant to push through or motivate yourself a little bit harder. For me, this state didn't arrive when my life was falling apart. It actually arrived when things started to slow down, when I was no longer in survival mode. And you know what? That really surprised me, because we're taught to expect numbness when things go wrong, and no one prepares you for what happens when the old ways of being no longer fit and the new ones haven't arrived yet. I call that in-between state. Now, Carl Jung understood this state very differently than we seem to do today. He believed that when joy disappears, it's often because the psyche is withdrawing energy from a life that no longer reflects who you truly are. And it's not doing this as punishment, but as a signal. And you know what? I agree with this perspective because I lived it. In Jung's view, the soul doesn't shout, hey, something's wrong here. It withdraws. Now, if you're curious to explore Carl Jung's work more deeply, I've linked a book in the description box below. It is a very accessible place to begin and really interesting. So the loss of pleasure, the loss of interest, the sense that nothing feels fun anymore, these aren't signs that something has gone wrong. They're signs that something deeper inside of you is trying to emerge. And this is where a lot of people get scared, because we're conditioned to equate joy with stimulation and excitement and intensity. But Jung was pointing to something quieter, a transition from surface level satisfaction to much deeper meaning. Often what we call numbness is actually protection. The psyche has this remarkable intelligence. When there are emotions, truths, desires that we're not quite ready to face, the system softens sensation, emotion right across the board. Pain gets muted, but so does your joy. And this isn't your mind betraying you. It's actually buying you some time to do some self-reflection work. In my own experience, when nothing was fun anymore, I realized I had been riding a long high of doing, creating, moving, building, going. And when I finally slowed down to enjoy what I had created, I felt a sinking inside. It was as if fun only existed when I was in motion, but not when I was receiving. And that was a big moment of clarity for me. I saw how much of my identity had been organized around movement and efforting and becoming, and how little space I had allowed for simply being with what was already here. At the same time, I could feel that I had changed through what I had created, And the version of me that knew how to keep going, keep efforting, could no longer lead the next phase of my life. I had to allow a new self to emerge, and that meant facing what was still inside of me that was no longer aligned with the new me, and not to analyze it endlessly, but just to let it go, transform it. And I wasn't ready yet to feel certain disappointments, certain griefs, certain truths about who I had been trying to be for a very long time. And so life went quiet for me, very quiet. This is also where limiting core beliefs often show up and live. These are the beliefs formed often early on in your life about who you have to be safe, loved, or valued. And then they shape your life. And when those beliefs are no longer aligned with who you are becoming, joy can't flow the way it used to. Part of the work I do with people is helping them to gently uncover these beliefs and transform them. Not to judge the beliefs, but to understand them and make some changes. Because when a belief is no longer true for you and your nervous system, it doesn't just dissolve politely. It knocks and it signals, and that's often through emptiness and sometimes rebellion. And modern life makes this phase even harder to recognize, because in life we are overstimulated, we're distracted, we're constantly encouraged to look outward for fulfillment. So when joy fades, we assume something needs to be added or fixed or optimized, or here's 3 more tips. But actually, this phase isn't asking for more from you, it's asking for honesty. Now, what surprised me most about how joy eventually returned into my life is that it wasn't by excitement or passion. It was something much smaller at first. It was when I had a deep, hearty laugh that came out of nowhere. It was walking down the street and a stranger saying hello. It was watching a bird bathe in a puddle on the road, hearing a piece of music that touched me deeply, watching the sunrise and the sunset, and making friends with my elderly neighbor and seeing their childlike curiosity in their eyes. None of these moments were dramatic, but they were real, and they helped bring the joy back. And also, they didn't demand anything from me. They didn't say, Esther, be happier. Esther, go improve yourself. They just arrived when I stopped assuming that something was wrong with me and my life. Psychologist Carl Jung believed that as we individuate, as we become more whole, joy matures. It moves from that stimulation to the joy of presence, from intensity to a deeper joy, from chasing to allowing joy. The psyche doesn't take joy away, it refines it. And if you're in a phase right now where nothing feels fun anymore, it's not because joy has left you. It's because it no longer is willing to show up in shallow ways. It's time for you to go deeper, and perhaps like me, to slow down. So if you recognize yourself here, I want you to hear this. You don't need to force joy. You don't need to fix yourself, and you don't need to rush this phase. You may simply be standing in a doorway at a threshold, one where your old ways of finding meaning in life no longer work, and something truer is beginning to form. And that's not failure, it's initiation. If this message resonates with you and you feel called to explore the deeper beliefs shaping your experience, I share information about working with me privately in the description box below. You're welcome to read through it in your own time and see what feels aligned. And if you have questions about my services, before you sign up, please send me an email so we can discuss the right and perfect next step for you. Oh, and please watch the video that's popping up on your screen right now. YouTube and I chose it just for you.